If I could, I would love to. I don't know if anybody's noticed or not, but there's like a Stargate looking portal in behind me almost.
Yeah.
Um, if you guys are willing, we could um, we could take a little meditative journey and just allow ourselves to drop off some things. It's like all the stuff that you don't need to have inside of you anymore that you're willing to let go of. We'll get into this in a meditative way, but just to set up the visual, if you imagine that you were walking through that Stargate, and that as you walked through and back into the space of this new expanded version of you, all the things that no longer serve you, you can leave them back there on the other side of that portal. So that's the invitation. So what I'd like to do is just ask everyone just to get comfy and take a couple of nice deep breaths. And I'm going to take a little zip of water as you get ready. And we'll just reaffirm that grounding anchor that's out the bottom of our torso and that column of light that's at the top of our head going out into the cosmos, out past the center of the spiral galaxy. And again, as soon as I close my eyes, I have such a loving connection to the energy that I would call Yeshua, who's an ascended master. Others know him as Jesus, but he shows up in my stuff, and so I want to ask Yeshua to help to guide us through this process and to bring forward all that divine love and that divine compassion to allow us to be able to remember to see ourselves through the love of the innocence of that child that's inside of us and to just align with such deep and beautiful acceptance for all of the gifts that we were given before we came into this world, and to allow us to just again awaken the magic and the miracles and the wonder and the awe as we were walking here and remembering the image behind me of that portal and just allowing it to be like a timeline that we're walking towards. And so in this moment, what I'd like to do is just allow us to just go quickly and briefly. We're going to imagine that we're walking backwards down our timeline into the past. And that as we do that, it's like we're walking down a corridor, and on either side, there's all these doors of events and occurrences and traumas and things that we had happen to us that brought us to where we're at now, but that we don't need to continue to feed energy into the doorways of those experiences or those stories or those realities. And so as we move backwards, we're just going to allow our energy to be the one that as we move backwards, it's going to close all of those doors or those windows, even as you perceive them, that might still be open, and just allow the energy of the experience that's been contained inside of our energetic field. Just allow that energy to just blow back into those doors and windows that are open and then close them as we continue to move back. Already having made our way back 10 years into the past, 15 years into the past, we're going to move through this quick 20 years into the past. We probably won't go that much further back because then we'll just be almost non-existent because we're all young and vibrant, and we'll continue to move back even further all the way down into our family of origin, all the way back into our teens, and all the way back to the time that we were children, and all the way back to the time that we were inside of our mother. And we'll release anything and everything that was going on when our moms were pregnant with us. And we'll even go back a step further to that place that I like to call the cellular level, before we came into the earth plane, and just remember for a few moments as we breathe all of the things that those beings of light that were with us before we came into the planet and into this consciousness, this three-dimensional consciousness, that were giving us that final bit of advice and those final bits of encouragement. Because from a cellular level, we chose to come down here into the experiences of who our parents were and the lives that we were going to have, and we were told before we came that there were going to be hardships down here, that we were going to carry we were going to carry heaviness through trauma and the weight of those experiences, but that at some point we were going to wake up and remember that those experiences are informing the light of who we are now in the present moment. And so we came here to take on that bit of suffering that the Mother Earth has been holding for souls for generations and generations, and through the Earth's experiences with the two-legged inhabitants walking on top of her. And so we came to take up a bit of that pain that she's been carrying, and so we chose to come through and manifest that in different ways through these abuses and these traumatic experiences. And so to remember that when we were up there at that solar level and they gave us that story of the things we were going to walk through, and asked us before we made that final uh, um, drop into this 3D reality, are you sure you still want to go down there? And we lovingly said, yes, put me in, coach. I'm going down there. And they said, but you're going to forget everything you know right here. That's okay. I want to go down there anyways. And so coming back from the solar level down into the earth reality and having released all the things at this time that are ours to release and to let go of, coming back through our mother, who was like the ultimate channel of life. And she brought us into this world and she allowed us to show up as babies, crying and breathing and exercising our lungs for the first time, and moving back to the all the way up to the point of our timeline, moving forward again to that time we started crawling, then we took our first steps, then we started running. And we remembered that through these experiences, as we were growing and developing, and our brain was being programmed with all the good things that we retain inside of it, that we've already at that young age, by the time we were 7 years old, reached a level of mastery within ourselves that somehow we grew a little older and seemed to forget, but now reminding us that we're hardwired for success and that we're hardwired for mastery because we've already become masters at a young age. And then the part of the journey is that we forget and that we go through that ego development so that we can learn how to be on our own and independent in the world. And so then we get a little older and we're moving forward into the timeline and through the 20s and the 30s, and recognizing that we needed to find that independence on our own away from our parents, and that we can still have connection to our folks if that's our choice, and that we just continue to move forward on the timeline and let go of all those experiences from the past, all those old identities, those different ages and those different stages, and allow ourselves to come right back to this present moment in the Zoom room now, sitting in this wonderful container, this beautiful sacred community of people that gathered for the sacred shift, and allowing ourselves to now move forward into the future up that timeline, heading towards that portal, that Stargate imagery that I brought our attention on before we started, as we continue to move towards and we go past those sacred columns that are holding space for us to continue to ascend and up level and uplift and continue to grow and increase the capacity that we have inside of our heart and inside of our nervous system to contain the energies of joy and peace and love, self-acceptance and surrender, all the beautiful gifts of compassion and forgiveness, all the light that we're given, all the tools that we're given, that we are allowing ourselves to reveal the new bits of ourselves in terms of all of the psychic abilities that we have, the intuition, the clairaudience, the clairsentience, the clairvoyance, the telepathy, the mediumship, the ability to see beyond the veil and to pierce the veil and have communication with the other side, with the beings of light, with the angels, with the ones that are a part of our spiritual team, and that we can capture those messages, that we can tune our hearing, that we can tune our sight and our inner vision, our inner knowing, that we can open our heart to receive the blessings, and that we can continue to move forward and making our way up those stairs all the way into the center of that Stargate portal, allowing ourselves when we're ready to pierce the veil at the center of that circle and to leave behind everything that we previously knew and all the ways that we thought that we showed up in the world, and avail ourselves to the newness of how we show up in the world now as conscious co-creators. The invitation is to continue to stay in that vibration, that 5D vibration of creating heaven on earth through our experiences, and allowing our soul to continue to guide us, to gather up our lessons as blessings, and to allow ourselves to find deeper levels of self-acceptance and unconditional love for who we are, that we call forward and we summon all the divine ways that we can release ourselves from the past, release ourselves from the old stories that served us, allow ourselves to grab hold of those new opportunities that are going to bring forward the different ways that we can create a livelihood for ourselves, the different ways that we can show up inside of all these beautiful um, gifts that we've been given, and the avenues of expression, all the teachers and the guides and the bits of information and everything that we need to allow ourselves to just keep moving forward and trending upwards as we go through this ascension journey, and as we continue to remember and continue to identify ourselves with all of the good things in life and all of the ways that we can show up inside of our strength, inside of the goodness of our characters, inside of those good qualities, inside of the beauty of the relationships that we co-create, and the ways that we show up in kindness and gentleness towards ourselves, and the ways that we can see the love and the light of our beingness, and that we can come into deeper levels of acceptance around who we've been and who we are now and who we're becoming, as we continue to summon our guidance, our spirit team whenever we need them, as we continue to summon the spirit of grace, the spirit of kindness and unconditional love, of magic and miracles, calling on those ascended masterful ones that we feel a kinship towards, those sainted ones, those guides, our helpers, our spirit team. Ask them to show us those things that we want and need to see. Ask them to reveal to us what our gifts are and show us in beautiful and easy and quick ways how we can utilize these gifts to serve all of the upliftment of humanity, if that be our will and a part of our soul contract, that we continue to move forward through the veil, and that we continue to reveal to ourselves even more and more of who we really are, and bring forward and draw forward those sovereignty codes, those wisdom codes, those abundance codes, and just allow all of that to download into our system in a really kind and gentle and swift and beautiful ways, that it integrates instantaneously, and that we can be like a magician holding that magic wand and just waving it, and allowing it to bring forth those manifestations of the things that we've been working on creating within ourselves, as we continue to flow throughout all of those beautiful emotions that we get to experience, and that we get to cut loose the ones that are lower vibration and don't serve us anymore, and that we can go into those lower vibratory emotional parts of ourselves to and go through a grieving, so that we can release them and surrender them, and so that we can remember, and so that we can stand in that place of mastery, that place of conscious co-creation, using our emotional energy as the fuel to be able to co-create the realities, the lifestyles that we see ourselves in, all the images that are in our heart that want to be created through us, as we take that deeper bow into service, and as we allow ourselves to come into a place of recognizing our true value, our true worth, as we come into a place of being able to see ourselves through the eyes of all the people that hold us most dear in their lives, who show us the most love and the unconditionality of things, that we can see ourselves through their eyes, through the magic of the ways that they perceive us and the ways that they see us and the understandings that they have about us and who we are, and all the ways that we show up in the world in magnificence, all the ways we show up inside of brilliance and inside of our own inner genius shining brightly, allowing all the light codes to fall into our system through the tops of our heads, through that column of light, making its way down into the third eye and massaging that pineal gland to open and awaken in a gentle and beautiful way at the point that we're ready. The third eye knowing, the psychic gifts, all the abilities, making its way down into our heart center, and allowing ourselves to just have that open heart, the ability to see through the golden light that's emerging through the eyes of our heart, the ears of our heart, the knowing of our heart, the ability to verbalize and communicate and speak through our heart, as we allow ourselves to drop in further and open up that solar plexus, that root of the will and the will forces, as we anchor into that and recognize that we can create the visions that are streaming into our awareness with beautiful abundance and beautiful support, and not needing to control all the details, but allowing ourselves to surrender to all the right and perfect people and places and opportunities that are meant to allow us to strengthen inside of our vision and strengthen inside of our vocation, strengthen inside of our gifts in the way that we're serving the planet. allowing ourselves to continue to flow downwards into that sacral chakra, that navel chakra, allowing ourselves to be in that navel area, reconnecting with the primary relationship of our own very own self, allowing ourselves to just communicate and dance within the wonder of the energy of that field, moving down into the sacral and allowing ourselves to be so rooted in this new versions of identity that are streaming forth in our awareness and our consciousness, and feeling that beautiful anchor and connection down into the earth, all the way down into the center of the earth, that we can continue to refresh, hit the refresh button on that connection whenever we feel a little bit wobbly or a little bit unawake or a little bit tired, that we can hit the refresh button on that connection and allow Mother Earth to remember that, to send a jolt of electricity through our system to help remind us that we're electromagnetic beings and that we're conscious co-creators here in the world, and that we're tapped in and tied into the earth, right down to the very DNA that's in our body, the actual suit that wears, that houses our spirit, made up of the earth, all the minerals, all the things that the earth contains, that where there is no separation, that we are the earth, the living embodiment inside of this physical vessel that we've been given to traverse the world in. Moving down our legs and down to the bottom of our feet, those earth star chakras deepening down inside the earth and dropping the roots out the bottom of our feet, all the way down 9 feet down inside of that level of the all the mycelium and all the roots of the sacred trees that are anchored and connected in and throughout the entire planet. That whole system of connectivity through the mycelium and through the roots of the trees, all the ancient ones, the ancestors, connected to the beautiful sonar of all of the whales that exist inside of our oceans, all the dolphins that exist inside of our oceans, and that we connect with that those beautiful codes that they have and the energies that they have in that left and right brain coherence, and we allow ourselves to just breathe and refresh and recognize that they're singing their song so that we can tune in and that we can be vessels of light the way that they are, that we can anchor these wisdom codes, these sovereignty codes here on the earth plane, that we can be that living embodiment of such things so that we can amplify through group coherence and awareness all the gifts of this container and all the gifts that are there inside of our circles of influence, that we can work with our people and to be able to help them activate and to be a way shower in our own worlds, so that we can come into an understanding of remembering what we came here to do on our earth walk, fully grounded, fully alive, fully awakened, fully ready to transmit and receive all the love that's ours to receive, all the blessings, all the magic, all the miracles, all the manifestations, all the things that we're aligned to have as part of this lifestyle that we can imagine from our future selves, and downloading the version of our future selves in the now, and downloading all the gifts of our future selves, all of our abilities, all of our talents, all the opportunities that we've made way, a clear way through, so that we can bring these things forward and continue to walk on our pathway inside of all the majesty of the Creator's light and the Creator's love, and the majesty of all of our spiritual helpers and our guides who are there to serve us whenever we call upon them and invite them and invoke them and allow them to come and be inside of our space to help us to remember and to help us keep moving forward. We'll take those final few breaths after we've made our way through that Stargate portal and allow ourselves to reconnect with the higher version of us, allowing all the beautiful colors of magical rainbows to flow through our entire energetic field, through the tops of our heads, down through our bodies, down out through our feet and through our hands, recognizing that if we have those abilities, that we can activate and open up those healing abilities with our hands and with our energetic um, centers within our body, and that we can use our gifts in all the ways that we came here to use our gifts, and so that we can turn that energy, redirect it towards ourselves with our double arrow attention, and just feel all that goodness for ourselves and all that love, and claim it and maintain it and sustain it, and just allow ourselves to remember, give ourselves permission now to remember our higher connection, that we can tune in and tap in anytime that we choose, calling on the divine for the assistance that we need in the ways that we need it. Just allowing all that light and that love and that energy to flow through us. through our entire body, just circling and cycling through our body, through that hollow bone channel of light from the tops of our heads and the tips of our toes and our fingertips and everywhere in between, as we continue to breathe and fill our field up with a beautiful golden light in our bodies, in and around our bodies, inside of that beautiful toroidal field of our heart, magnified and awakened, and asking Yeshua to come bring those blessings of the heart, to awaken the heart, to heal the heart, to allow the heart to grow just outside of the box that we've previously existed in, naturally and beautifully, and with awareness of our process and our letting go and our surrender and our own divinity, becoming the living embodiment of that divinity. Clearing and cleansing and detoxifying breath, remembering that the breath is the most detoxifying and healthy thing that we can do for our bodies and our minds and our spirits and our emotions, as we continue to breathe and just reorient ourselves inside of the chair that we're sitting on, inside of the room that we're sitting within, inside of this beautiful Zoom container with all these incredible and powerful souls that are on the call tonight, and that we can just continue to elevate and continue to love and continue to remember. Bringing back those first bits of movement before we open our eyes as we continue to breathe. Just breathing it all in and allowing ourselves to feel joyous and to feel healed and to feel grown and to feel done by the universe, and knowing that the universe is there to take requests, allowing ourselves permission to ask and allowing ourselves permission to receive. Just bringing that first bit of movement back into our bodies, if we want to wave or shake back and forth, or move in our chair if we can, and move our head. And if we're going to open our eyes, just open them the tiniest, slightest crack, just to allow that initial light to be brought back in. And I'm hearing the message, you have been anointed once again. Ms. Durand, would you like to share?
Wow. That was fun. I'm just like, whoa, I'm so grateful that we recorded this. Because I'm gonna listen again. Yeah, that was so full. Like just this completion and this fullness and this uh remembrance. It was so nice to just travel all the way back and all the way up and then receive the codes. Loved it. Thank you so much for sharing that with us and trusting your intuition to offer that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're welcome. Everybody, you're more than welcome. This is what I'm here to do.
Yeah, so where do we sign up for Evolutionary Edge?
Oh, that's funny, man.
So good.
Yeah, that's right in alignment, actually. That is part of the evolutionary edge. So if anybody's interested, they can feel free to reach out.
Yeah, it's excellent. I've done it twice, and I'm considering doing it again, especially after that.